This week on the Kirby Boys.
It's a half cent. I can see it.
Holy crap.
Oh, it's going to be there.
Look at the face on that 1793.
Yeah, that's a Morgan. It's a Morgan dollar. That is beautiful too. You just don't get to video one of these very often.
No, you don't.
And I just, right here, found a button. And we think it might, I don't know if I can get a good enough light to see it here, but we think this might be one of the George Washington Eagle button.
The inaugural button.
Yeah. And if that is, holy crap, looks like $1,000 or something. So you get, there you can see the eagle.
Holy crap. Yeah, that's an 1832 capped bust half dime. Oh, that's just awesome.
Okay, guys, it's an 1864 2-cent piece.
A half real.
No. The Holy Grail. Holy Mother of God.
Hi, and welcome back to my videos. Today it's like 25 degrees, and it went down to about 12 last night, and I really thought the ground was going to be too frozen to go today. So I started doing a little trip down memory lane, and Matt just called, and he said, he checked it. It's not that froze. And he's got a couple things he has to do with his son and help with a project for school. And as soon as he's done with that, he'd like to go out for a little bit. So, looks like we're going to go someplace this afternoon. But in the meantime, I thought I'd, again, do a little trip down memory lane with you. So, stick around. Just like most of you, I'm sure, I've got boxes and tins and cans and jars and all kinds of stuff. Just junk that I've kept over the years. But I thought I'd show you some of the better stuff. That's all wheats, and there's probably a few buffaloes in there that weren't worth anything. Heavens, I don't know, thousands of wheats, and I've got like, I don't know, 2 or 3 other jars full of wheat pennies. But here's some of the, I don't know, more interesting things. Absolutely, positively nothing of any value, but cool memories and cool little pieces of history that someday my grandson will look at as a real treasure trove. I'm sure. I hope. Anyway, these are all tokens. Nothing special that I know of in there, but some of them are pretty cool. A lot of them, I'm sure, are exactly things that you found too. St. Christopher medals and St. Francis medals, and this is some kind of an Asian coin, I'm sure, but totally unidentifiable. I did find a bunch of Asian coins in an old schoolhouse one time that I worked at a university and went in and talked to one of the Asian professors, and he identified them as what they call a sen, I believe, which is basically a nickel, and they were, 1900s or so. This is something cool. I had no idea what that was, and sadly it deteriorated, but at one point, this was basically a wooden stick the whole way, and I kept getting a signal on it.
This I found at the cabin of one of the very first settlers in Ohio, Christian Frederick Post. And he came here in like, oh gosh, I think it was like 1754 or something like that. And he had a cabin that was on private property, was on a farm. And I got permission to go there and check around, and I found absolutely nothing except this. And this wooden stick kept giving a signal. And then I discovered the one end would pull off, and it was a needle, like a sewing needle inside. I think actually that's the end that was inside the wood on the other end, and it sort of fell apart when I pulled it apart. But it was like the one end was a handle and the other end was a lid. No idea what it was, but I hung on to it. And I was talking to a Civil War buff of mine one time, and he does reenactments and black powder shooting competitions, that kind of thing. And he told me what that was. At least that's what he believes it is. And he had a name for it. Basically what it is, in a flintlock, the powder that is in the flash pan, when it ignites, goes down through a hole into the main powder charge to ignite the rifle, and that hole gets plugged up with carbon from the gunpowder, and that pin, or that needle, was to clear that hole. So that is a really awesome piece of history. If he's right about what that is, that's kind of cool. That's kind of a neat little belt buckle, I think. Whole collection of Boy Scout neckerchief slides. These are tent rope tensioners. Other belt buckles and religious pins and fancy little whatsits. This is button row, flat buttons. A couple military buttons. I believe those are like, gosh, I think maybe World War One. I don't have a button book, and that's something I need to get and kind of be able to identify some of these, but most of them are flat buttons, and what's that? This was just some kind of little, I don't know, maybe a money clip, I'm not sure, some kind of little clip. More buttons. That one's kind of cool, and I didn't find it anywhere near Worcester, Ohio. That's what's funny. I think that's a reins keeper off a sleigh or a horse-drawn wagon. The reins, they ran through that to keep them kind of organized. Toy guns. That's an honest-to-goodness little dagger of some kind. Pretty cool. From an old home site. More buckles and skeleton keys. And I think that might be part of an old hood ornament. I'm not sure. I wish I could have found the other half of it, but I never did. Some finials. Oh, this is cool. This, I found at an old home site. And I thought at first it was a toy gun barrel or a toy cannon. Or I posted that. I found this, probably 5 years ago. I posted that on one of the sites, and somebody sent a picture of a whole one and identified it for me. This is actually a brass barrel from what was called a vest. It's a black powder Derringer, and they called them a vest gun. They kept them in their vest pocket, probably gamblers and that kind of thing. But that is off a real black powder gun, a Derringer. D's, lots of D buckles, suspender buckles, miscellaneous other buckles, bells. I think that's I believe that's a barrel, like a bung, or maybe for sugaring, like a spout for a maple tree. Critter bells, those are my nice ones. A couple pieces of old pocket knives. I'm not sure what that is. Some kind of medallion, metal that hung off a ribbon, maybe. I'm not sure. Salt and pepper, or salt shaker lid, pocket knife. These are Native American patterned
I don't know, maybe off a waistband or something. I think maybe that's part of a heel plate or some old spoons. Lots of junk jewelry, rings, earrings, a couple Boy Scout rings. Those are kind of cool. And those are 925 silver on the inside. I believe that might be a gold ring. I never tested it. If it's a gold ring, maybe there's a real diamonds in there. Don't know. More rings and miscellaneous. Nice little cool little yeah, what do they call that stuff? Turquoise, little turquoise bracelet. Other pins, pocket watches, pieces, parts of pocket watches, an old lock. More bells. Latch off like a window, maybe. I think I found that in an old schoolhouse. Cleaned it up. It looked kind of neat. Finial of some kind. Some kind of clock key, probably a winding key. Not sure what that is. That scrolly thing. Kind of cool though. That is the finial off the top of a round oak wood stove. Someplace on there, I believe right over in there, it says round oak on it. And I did a little research, and that was the finial off the top of like a parlor stove. Again, found that I wanted in a schoolhouse, so that makes sense. Kind of cool. Little Shares badge. There was one badge here. Let's see if I can spot it. Oh, Roy Rogers. That's it. Roy Rogers Deputy. But it's cool. I think that's about it. Bunch of junk. Oh, this was exciting. I don't know why it gave a signal, but when I dug it, it's a little jewelry box, and boy, I was excited about what may be in it. And there's what was in it. Nothing. I don't know why it rang up. There must be maybe a metal pin through the hinge or something. But it was empty, sadly. No big diamond in it. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the little trip down memory lane. I'm going to get all this stuff tucked back away, and before you know it, it'll be time to hook up with Matt, and we'll see if we can find some more junk just like this. Alrighty, I'll be back. One other thing, I forgot to show you real close up. You know, it's not real easy to do a lot of door knocking. You got to have your stuff together to get there. And once I found these, I was able to door knock a lot easier. All right, I'll be back. All right, so I thought I'd show you where we went and how I found it. And this is just a little tidbit of how we do some of our research. The map you see right here is an 1850 map. In dead center of the map, you see the name Kilgore. This is an 1870 map, and again, you still see the name Kilgore on the same property. Now, the 1850 map does not show house locations on it, but the 1870 map does. That's the little black dot by the W where it says W Kilgore. Now back to the 1850 map. You'll also notice right by the K in Kilgore, there's a little circle. On the 1850 map, a circle is a schoolhouse. You'll also notice across the creek to the right of the little circle, it says G&SM. That's a grist and sawmill. Now we go to Google Earth. The house, the farmhouse that is on that farm in modern days is on the north side of the road. The old house, which showed on the 1870 map on the south side of the road, is gone. The schoolhouse is also gone. Now here's where it gets interesting and really unusual. What you see here is the GIS from the county. And if you look at the current owner, Kilgore, the farm has been in the Kilgore family for 5 generations. And this man said it's since the 1840s. On this map, or on this picture, I marked where the old house and the old school site were at. Okay, so now you see how we found it. Now the bad news is, when we got there, we did get permission, but in that wooded area, it shaded the house site area. We found a lot of gnawing and signs of bricks and pottery and things that told us we were at the old house site, but it was froze hard as a rock. So we went out into the pasture field, out into the hay field, up a little higher ground, and it was drier, and I suppose the hay had probably absorbed a lot of the moisture out of the ground, and it was very diggable. And that should be where that school site was at. We hunted that for about an hour and never found any signs of the old school. So this spring, when it thaws and dries out a little bit, we're going to go back there to that pasture field where the home site was and maybe give another try to find the school site. But we didn't find it, and it was froze too hard to do any good around that house site anyway. So we moved on to an abandoned house that we hunted for an hour or so, and here's that.
Alright, so there's a wheat. Matt always says, where there's wheat, there's treats. I can't see a year. Let me check it, I'll be back. Yeah, it's a 41. That's a start. Now I'll get some silver. Be back. Alright, so Matt just picked up an Indian.
Yeah, a little off 1340s, but
Yeah, the numbers
I mean
are
it was deep,
goofy.
deep enough to dig. So there is a lot of shallow clad here.
Yeah,
Well,
There
no,
is.
excuse me, a lot of deep clad.
deep clad, yeah.
That's the first Indian I've ever had ring 1340.
Yeah, that's really Ivory Indian. A good shot of the back. Back looks nice.
What year is that bad boy?
I can't see it.
Can't
It's
see it.
pretty. It's I think more muddy than crusty.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just looking at the.
Yeah, that mannequin with the eyes.
Yeah.
Eyes behind that. That's creepy.
The guy's guarding the coins. Okay, I'll be back.
Well, that ended up being about all we found. It started snowing so hard. Our gloves were getting wet. You get wet kneeling down. It got miserable. So we decided to hang it up. But we found some good places to go back to for sure when the weather straightens out. It's still early. The ground's still hard some places. But there's better days coming. Thanks for watching the videos, and thanks for joining me on my little trip down memory lane. If you like the videos, please hit thumbs up and subscribe. See you next video.